confidence is not a mood. Confidence is not something you find. Confidence is not something you get from compliments, from attention, from social approval, or from repeating words in a mirror. That is not confidence. That is dependence. Real confidence is earned, and it is earned through competence. Competence is the ability to do something real, under pressure, consistently. Competence is proof. Confidence is the feeling that comes when you have proof. Most men today are starving for confidence, but they are chasing it like beggars. They want to feel strong without becoming strong. They want to feel capable without doing the work that makes them capable. They want the aura without the foundation. So they copy the surface of masculinity. They speak louder, they posture, they act arrogant, they pretend, but inside they feel shaky because they know the truth. They do not have the skills, they do not have the strength, they do not have the discipline, they do not have the competence, and without competence, confidence is always fragile. It collapses the moment life applies pressure. A man with fake confidence is loud in comfort, silent in crisis. A man with earned confidence is calm. He does not need to announce himself, because his confidence is not based on other people's opinions. It is based on ability. That is what we are building today. Not hype, not motivation, not ego, competence. Because competence makes a man dangerous in the right way. A competent man can lead. A competent man can protect. A competent man can build. A competent man can solve problems instead of creating them. And when you become competent, confidence comes naturally. Not as arrogance, as certainty, as calm, as the quiet feeling of knowing you can handle what comes. Most men are anxious because they know they cannot handle what comes. They do not trust themselves. They do not trust their own ability to endure, to decide, to execute. So they cope, they escape, they numb, they live in distraction. And the longer they avoid competence, the worse the anxiety gets, because life keeps demanding more. Bills, responsibility, relationships, health, pressure, and a man who is not competent feels like he is constantly behind a wave that will eventually drown him. So he looks for shortcuts, motivation videos, quick hacks, easy routines, comfort advice. All of it is noise. The answer is competence. Competence is the only cure for insecurity that actually lasts. So listen carefully. This video is not about feeling good. This is about becoming real. And becoming real requires work. It requires humility. It requires accepting that you are not as capable as you could be. That is not shame. That is awareness. Awareness is the start of power. Now I am going to give you principles, not theories. Principles you can build your life on. And if you live by them, your confidence will become something you do not lose when the world gets loud. Principle 1. Confidence is a byproduct, not a target. Weak men chase confidence directly. They try to talk themselves into it. They copy the behavior of confident men. They fake it. But confidence is not the starting point. It is the result. You do not wake up confident. You build competence, and confidence arrives. The same way you do not become strong by wanting strength. You lift weight and strength arrives. So stop chasing the feeling. Chase the work. Chase the skill. Chase the reps. The feeling will follow. Principle 2. Competence requires humility first. This is where many men fail. They want to be seen as capable, so they avoid being a beginner. They avoid asking questions. They avoid training. They avoid learning. Because learning exposes ignorance, and ego cannot handle that exposure. So they stay incompetent forever. A man with a strong mind is not afraid to be a beginner. He knows the beginner stage is the gate. He accepts being bad at something. He accepts looking unpolished because he is not building an image. He is building ability. Humility is not weakness. Humility is submission to truth, and truth is the path to competence. Principle 3. Insecurity is often accurate. Men call it low self-esteem. They call it anxiety. They call it imposter syndrome. Sometimes it is not a mental problem. Sometimes it is an accurate signal. You feel insecure because you are unprepared. You feel anxious because you are undisciplined. You feel shaky because your skills are weak. That is not something to medicate with affirmations. That is something to solve with competence. When your mind says, "You can't handle this," you should not argue emotionally. You should train until you can. That is how you turn insecurity into fuel. Principle 4. Competence is built through repetition, not inspiration. Men want a breakthrough, a dramatic moment, a transformation. Competence is boring. It is reps. It is practice. It is drilling basics until they become automatic. The man who becomes competent is the man who can tolerate repetition. He can do the same simple actions daily. He can practice when it feels boring. He can train when it feels slow, because he understands the law. Skill is built in the quiet. Competence is forged when no one is watching. Principle 5. Your confidence collapses where your competence is missing. Look at where you feel weak. Public speaking, money, fitness, leadership, relationships, discipline. That is not random. That is the map. Your insecurity shows you where you are incompetent. So instead of hating insecurity, use it. It is a compass. It points to the skill you must build. If you feel weak in your finances, learn. If you feel weak socially, practice. If you feel weak physically, train. If you feel weak in decision-making, build structure and execute. Your confidence will rise exactly where your competence rises. Principle 6. Competence creates calm under pressure. Pressure reveals men. When pressure hits, the man with shallow competence panics. He overthinks, he hesitates, he collapses. The competent man becomes calm because he has seen this before. He has trained, he has rehearsed, he has been tested. Competence makes pressure familiar. Familiarity reduces fear. Fear is often just the unknown. Competence turns the unknown into the known. That is calm, and calm is power. Principle 7. Stop trying to look confident. Start trying to be competent. Looking confident is performance. Being competent is reality. Performance collapses. Reality holds. A man who performs confidence is obsessed with how he is seen. A man who is competent is obsessed with doing the job. He does not waste energy on image. He invests energy into skill. So if you are constantly thinking about how you appear, it is a sign you lack competence. Competence turns attention outward, toward the mission, toward the task, toward the problem. That shift alone builds masculine presence, because presence is not acting tough. Presence is being useful. Principle 8. Competence is a stack, not a single skill. A man is not competent because he is good at one thing. He becomes competent by stacking abilities: physical competence, mental competence, practical competence, social competence, financial competence, moral competence. Each one strengthens the others. A man who is physically disciplined often becomes mentally disciplined. A man who is mentally disciplined often becomes financially stable. A man who is morally clear becomes trustworthy. Trustworthiness becomes leadership. Leadership becomes influence. Influence becomes responsibility. Competence is a structure, and you build it brick by brick. Principle 9. Your body is your first competence. If you cannot control your body, you cannot control much else. A man who is physically weak feels vulnerable. He avoids discomfort. He avoids conflict. He avoids effort. That becomes a personality. So start with the body. Train strength. Train endurance. Train mobility. Learn how to move with discipline. This is competence. When you can handle physical strain, you gain a certain calm. You stand taller. You speak steadier. You are harder to intimidate, not because you are violent, because you are prepared. Principle 10. Learn a craft that produces value. Competence is not about being impressive. It is about being useful. Men who feel empty often produce nothing. They consume, they watch, they scroll, they comment, they judge, but they do not build. Building creates competence. So pick a craft, a trade, a skill, something real, and commit. Study it, practice it, do the boring work, get mentored if possible, become competent. Then you will feel something most men never feel: earned pride. Earned pride is different from ego. Ego is noise. Earned pride is silent. It comes from knowing you can produce. Principle 11. Competence requires standards. Weak men practice casually. They dabble. They try. They do not measure. They do not commit. So, they stay average. A competent man has standards. A standard for training. A standard for quality. A standard for reliability. He shows up. He executes. He improves. He tracks progress. He corrects weaknesses. Standards turn practice into mastery. Without standards, you drift. Principle 12. Competence is built by embracing correction. Most men hate feedback because it threatens ego, but feedback is fuel. If you want competence, you must invite correction. You must be willing to hear, "This is wrong." You must be willing to fail. You must be willing to be corrected. Because competence is not built by comfort, it is built by friction. Correction is friction. So stop taking correction as an insult. Take it as training. A man who cannot be corrected cannot be trusted. A man who cannot be corrected cannot grow. Principle 13. Earn confidence through hard proof, not soft talk. If you want confidence in your body, prove it. Train consistently for months. If you want confidence in your mind, prove it. Study and apply knowledge. If you want confidence in money, prove it. Budget, save, invest, increase skill. If you want confidence in social situations, prove it. Practice speaking. Practice presence. Proof ends insecurity. Talk does not. Talk makes insecurity worse because it becomes a lie you carry. A man knows when he is talking without proof. That creates inner conflict. That conflict creates anxiety. So stop talking. Start building proof. Principle 14. Competence makes you honest. A competent man does not need to pretend. He can say, "I don't know," without fear, because he knows he can learn. He can admit weakness because he knows he can train. Incompetent men hide, they bluff, they posture, they lie, because they fear exposure. Competence removes fear of exposure. That is freedom. Principle 15. Competence is the foundation of leadership. Men want to lead, but leadership is not a title. It is trust. And trust is earned through competence. If you cannot handle your own life, no one should follow you. If you cannot control your impulses, you cannot be a leader. If you cannot keep your word, you cannot be a leader. If you cannot produce value, you cannot be a leader. Leadership requires competence, so stop seeking influence. Seek capability. Influence will come naturally when you are useful and reliable. Now, let's address the problem directly. Many of you feel like you have no confidence because you have lived without proving anything to yourself. You have made promises and broken them. You have started and stopped. You have talked and not acted, so your mind no longer believes you. That is not a personality issue. That is a trust issue, and trust is rebuilt through small, consistent proof. So here is how you do it. You start small, but you start real. Step 1. Choose one domain to build competence first. Do not try to master everything at once. Pick the domain that will create the biggest change in your life. Most men should start with the body and discipline, because training strengthens the nervous system and builds self-command. But you can choose based on your reality. Body, money, skill, communication, whatever. Pick one. Step 2. Set a minimum daily standard. Not a perfect plan. A minimum standard you can execute even on bad days. Train 20 minutes. Read 10 pages. Practice the skill for 30 minutes. Save a small amount daily. Something. Make it non-negotiable. That is your daily proof. Step 3. Track progress. Weak men rely on feelings. Competent men rely on data. Write down training sessions. Write down practice time. Write down what you learned. Tracking turns progress into evidence. Evidence builds confidence. Step 4. Seek friction. Do not hide in comfort practice. Enter environments that test you. Lift heavier. Work under deadlines. Speak in front of others. Take responsibility. Competence is forged under pressure. Pressure reveals gaps. Gaps show what to train. Step 5. Stack wins until your identity changes. Identity changes when evidence accumulates. After weeks of obeying standards, you stop seeing yourself as trying. You become the man who does. This is where confidence becomes natural. Because you are no longer hoping you can handle life. You have proof. Now I want to confront another illusion. Some men think confidence means never being afraid. No. Confidence means you can act even when fear is present, and that ability comes from competence. When you know you have trained, fear loses power. Fear becomes a signal, not a barrier. You feel fear, you act anyway. That is courage, and courage is built through competence. Now let me speak to the man who wants to be respected. Respect is earned through competence. People respect a man who can solve problems. People respect a man who is reliable. People respect a man who does not panic. People respect a man who has standards. People respect a man who can carry weight. All of that comes from competence, not from talking about masculinity, not from complaining about society, not from blaming the world, from becoming capable. So if you want to build a movement, build your competence first, because your message will have weight when your life has weight. Men can feel when a man speaks from proof. They can also feel when he speaks from performance. So, become proof. Now, here is the part that will sting. Competence requires sacrifice. It requires time. It requires saying no. It requires discomfort. It requires boredom. It requires repetition. And most men are not willing to pay that price. That's why they stay insecure. They want the reward without the cost. But the world does not work like that. Nature does not reward wishes. Nature rewards competence. The man who can build survives. The man who can hunt survives. The man who can endure survives. The man who can lead survives. That is reality. So if you want confidence, stop asking for it. Earn it. Earn it the only way it can be earned, through competence, and competence is built one day at a time. You wake up, you train, you work, you practice, you learn, you correct, you repeat, and months later, you look back and realize something. You are different. You do not panic the same way. You do not hesitate the same way. You do not seek approval the same way. You are solid because you have proof. That is confidence, not arrogance, not ego. Certainty, calm certainty. Now I will close with the final truth. You cannot think your way into confidence. You must build your way into it. You must sweat your way into it. You must earn your way into it. Because the world is harsh, and it does not care about your feelings, but it responds to ability. So become able, become competent, and confidence will stop being something you chase. It will become something you carry quietly, like a weapon, like armor, like a man under law. That is the warrior's code. Earn confidence through competence, then walk into the world calm, because you know you can handle what comes.